Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're gonna wait a little bit to everybody take place. Please feel free to ask any questions.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, Phil, I think just wait more 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone, again to be here. I think in more 2 minutes we can start. We have a massive audience today, so thanks, everyone. And yes, I think we can start in 2 minutes. Great. I think we can start, Phil. Thanks, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you today. So, Philip Moore will start the presentation, and will hand it to me afterwards.
Sounds great. Yeah, thanks, Gustavo, and thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for attending. So I'm going to take you through about a presentation about GizmoSQL and how it can basically enable and empower your BI workloads to run lightning fast for low cost. So if you're not familiar, GizmoSQL, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at this monitor. That's why it looks like I'm looking away. GizmoSQL is a lightweight, high-performance SQL engine powered by Apache Aeroflight SQL and DuckDB. And you can run incredibly sized workloads like TPCH 1 terabyte workload for in under 2 minutes and for 90% less cost than other cloud data platforms and for 17 cents, which is almost unheard of to be able to run a workload that size for that low cost. All right, so going to the next slide. So your host today, Gustavo and Philip Moore. Obviously, Gustavo, do you want to go ahead and talk about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a practitioner of data engineering, super fan of DuckDB and the DuckDB ecosystem as well. Now I'm more fan than anyone else about Gizmo data. Yes. So it's a great pleasure to have the stage with Phil today. So that's it.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Philip Moore from Gizmo Data. I've been working in the data industry for 25 years. Little quick facts about me. I was a United States Marine many years ago, many hairs ago. I was Oracle DBA of the Year in 2016, which is forever ago now. And I have a patent on a distributed database engine that I'm really proud of. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm really excited to partner with Gustavo and bring GizmoSQL to you. All right, so what's the problem? Like, what are we trying to solve with GizmoSQL? Cloud analytics is very expensive and often over-engineered for workloads that are smaller than, say, 10 terabytes. So organizations are typically paying thousands per month for managed SQL platforms when they only need a fast, reliable SQL access to their data, right? So oftentimes with other platforms, you have to spin up distributed compute. So that means you're actually provisioning multiple virtual machines in the cloud, and that of course costs money. So anytime you spin up 10 of something, you have to pay 10 times the cost. So platforms like Snowflake, BigQuery, Databricks, they're really good platforms. They work excellent, but they typically are distributed platforms. So you actually pay a lot more than sometimes is necessary if your workloads are smaller than 10 terabytes. So for example, running the TPCH 1 terabyte query benchmark is at least $2, let's say, on the cheapest platform in the cloud. So oftentimes, major platforms, they do what's called vendor lock-in. So they encourage you to use proprietary data formats to kind of put a walled garden around your data so that it's harder to get out and move, be nimble and work with other engines. Now that is getting better in the industry. So like, platforms like Databricks and Snowflakes are adopting more open standards like Iceberg and Delta Lake. But even then, it's still more opinionated. The other thing is AI readiness. So you really want an engine that's quick to spin up, easy for agents to communicate with, and versatile, and have a really friendly SQL dialect. DuckDB is great for that, but it's not so great for multi-user concurrency because of its embedded nature. So GizmoSQL is the SQL engine that DuckDB deserves. GizmoSQL wraps DuckDB in a secure multi-client SQL engine using Apache Aeroflight SQL, which is open source technology, giving you terabyte scale analytics at a fraction of the cost of other cloud platforms. So because it's DuckDB, it's blazing fast, right? DuckDB is an amazing columnar SQL engine, and it can process billions of rows in the time that other platforms process millions. And because we have Apache Arrow columnar data transport, all the data you send to and from GizmoSQL is going to be in a columnar format. So that it means it transfers very quickly and efficiently over the wire with what's called zero copy. And there's no serialization or deserialization overhead. So it's very fast to ship lots of data to and from GizmoSQL. It is multi-client. Unlike embedded DuckDB, GizmoSQL can serve multiple clients simultaneously. So it has no problem running dashboards, using AI agent workloads, doing Power BI reports, all those things, even ETL at the same time. It can handle those things simultaneously. It is open and portable. There's a core edition available with Apache 2.0 licensed, and it runs almost anything: Linux, Mac OS, Windows, Docker, Podman, Kubernetes, and even we just announced a week or two ago the iOS edition. So you can run a GizmoSQL server on your iPhone, which is pretty cool. So the first edition that we have is Core Edition, and it is open source under the Apache 2.0 license. It's free. So it's everything you need to run a production SQL engine. It's completely open source. We have a GitHub repository. You can see all the source code. It's using the DuckDB backend with version 1.5.2, the latest and greatest, with full SQL, and all extensions are supported. It has these stable and long-term support channels. So if you want to run an older version of DuckDB, that's the long-term release, v144, you can run that as well. And we just released that channel this weekend. There is a SQLite backend. If you prefer SQLite for whatever reason, not many people do, but if you did, you can run the SQLite backend. It has, of course, the columnar Apache Arrow format for data transfer. Even has query timeout control, so you can set a query time limit, and if a query runs longer than that, it will cancel. There's a health check endpoint, so that if the server's up and has any sort of outage, like Kubernetes, a liveness probe can detect that and automatically restart it, but you shouldn't have that problem anyway. And of course, you can run initialization SQL commands, so you can have it create tables or create a TPCH data set on initialization so that the server just automatically does some stuff when it starts up. On the connectivity and security side, you get the full Apache Arrow Flight SQL protocol. We flesh out all the endpoints. So you get things like get tables, get keys. All the endpoints are there so that you have full Apache Arrow compatibility. We have TLS encryption, so it's all the traffic between the server and the client is fully encrypted. So from a security standpoint, that's very desirable. You don't want any plain text data going over the wire. And this is going to cover you completely with TLS. We even have mutual TLS authentication. And so that's an extra layer of security. So if you want really like SOC 2 compliance, you can use MTLS to enforce that the client has to present a certificate key in order to authenticate. Of course, we support password-based authentication, JavaScript web token, auth, interactive. We have an interactive CLI client shell. And we have the new GizmoSQL user interface, UI. That's a web-based Next.js front end. That's really handy to use for interactively querying a GizmoSQL database. Supported data formats are very important. If you're on this call, you've probably heard of Duck Lake. But if you're not familiar, Duck Lake is the new emerging data lake format created by the DuckDB labs team. It's very popular. It's gaining popularity. It's already being used in production in several companies. And basically, it's using a Postgres database or MySQL for the catalog metadata and using cloud storage to actually store the Parquet data sets that make up your Duck Lake or your data lake. And it's very efficient and more so than Iceberg or even Delta Lake because it's using Postgres for the metadata management, which it handles things like ACID compliance much more easily than just a file system. So very popular and gaining traction very quickly. But you also have Apache Iceberg compatibility, read and write, Delta Lake, Parquet, CSV, JSON, ORC, geospatial support. We fully support the geospatial. And now there's actually a Unity catalog extension. I don't have that on the slide, but you can actually authenticate to a Unity catalog from Databricks, the open source Unity catalog, and query it, read and write data to and from there. So we continue working on the drivers and integrations. It's very important that we want to make it as easy as possible to interact with GizmoSQL from a variety of front ends and tools. Sorry, bear with me. So on the drivers and client side, we have, of course, ADBC Python driver and Go driver with full OAuth. So ADBC is really cool because it's Arrow Database Connectivity is what it stands for. And it just means that you can ship that full columnar data to and from the client. And there's no serialization or deserialization overhead. So you get really fast connectivity between the client and the server. But of course, like a lot of applications are still using JDBC, and even some are using ODBC. So we have a JDBC driver, an ODBC driver. We have a Node.js TypeScript client. Gustavo and I talked about the Power BI connector, of course. We have the GizmoSQL CLI shell and the user UI web interface. In terms of frameworks and ORMs, ORM stands for Object Relational Model. So we want to make this easy to work with from ORMs. So we have a SQL Alchemy dialect. We have an IBIS backend, which lets you basically write your code once and talk to a variety of backends like GizmoSQL, of course, but also Snowflake or Postgres or Databricks and so on. So you can actually write your code base once and have it work with all those different formats with IBIS. So a very, very cool package called IBIS if you get a chance to check that out. It is open source. We have a DBT adapter, so you can actually run ETL, your ETL jobs in GizmoSQL, and it's fully supported. We have SQL Mesh if you prefer SQL Mesh. And one of the really cool packages that we have right here, PySpark or SQL Frame, that one, I'm really excited about that one. A gentleman named Ryan Eatman created this package called SQL Frame, and basically lets you interact with a SQL database with PySpark code. So you don't have to rewrite your PySpark. If you're a PySpark shop and you want to dabble and try out GizmoSQL, you can actually do that with this package, the GizmoSQL SQL Frame package. and run your PySpark code and have it translated implicitly to talk to GizmoSQL behind the scenes. So it's a great way to try your PySpark workload on GizmoSQL and see if you get that cost savings and performance improvement that we promise. On terms of visualization, we have Apache Superset, Metabase, Grafana plugin on the official Grafana plugin store, Tableau, Power BI integration, dbeaver and SQLine, and as well as the QGIS geospatial tool for visualization of geospatial workloads. We just published a plugin about a week or so ago on there. So we also offer the Enterprise Edition for those companies that want more production grade security, observability, and multi-tenant controls. And what features this thing offers compared to the core edition are SSO or single sign-on and OAuth. So basically you can work with pretty much any OAuth provider that's OIDC compliant, works with Okta, Auth0, Keycloak, Azure, Entra or Active Directory, Google, and so forth. So you can have people sign into GizmoSQL with their Google credentials, for example. Session instrumentation, so that you can see it tracks all the instances, the client sessions, SQL statements, executions, all that stuff is tracked so that you can have full observability of the platform. Kill sessions, so you can actually kill a session that's a runaway session or idle or something too long. And per catalog permissions, so you get role-based access control that says user A can see catalog A and they can write to catalog B and they have no access to catalog C. So you can set up those independent permissions on catalogs on a user basis. And of course, we offer SLA-driven priority support for the Enterprise Edition. So this is a quick comparison matrix between the Core Edition and the Enterprise Edition. You can see all these features are shared between the Core and the Enterprise. We don't put any performance governor controls or restrictions on the Core version, so it's just as fast as Enterprise. It's just that you get those extra goodies for production, running it in a production environment that typically businesses want, like observability, I'm sorry, and single sign-on, things like that. But yeah, you get the full integration with the drivers and integrations with both editions. So you're not going to get a lot less things for the Core Edition. It's important to us to be very friendly to the open source community, and so you want to get a really robust server for the open source product as well. So what does this look like when you run it architecturally? So a lot of production customers that run GizmoSQL, they run it in Kubernetes. So if you're running a GizmoSQL server in Kubernetes and you want to use a Duck Lake, this is kind of what it looks like. It is container native when you deploy GizmoSQL. We publish Docker images on Docker Hub for the long-term support channel and also the stable channel. And we publish a slim and a quote-unquote fat image with more goodies, utilities, and so forth. But when you run the container, typically you're going to run GizmoSQL pods in a load balance fashion. So you're going to run horizontally scaled GizmoSQL pods, and that lets you have a load balancer or an ingress in front, and it will load balance the traffic between the pods. So like if I come and log in, I might be placed on pod 1 for my session, and when Gustavo comes in, he'll be placed on pod 2. So you can easily scale horizontally GizmoSQL to handle hundreds or thousands of concurrent users with this auto scaling capability and load balancing capability. They're both pods or in pods are going to talk to the Duck Lake, so they can all mount the same Duck Lake and work concurrently. So and that works because they talk to the Postgres instance for the catalog metadata, and then of course they use the S3 or GCS or Azure Blob Storage for the actual storage of the table data, so to speak. And it is ACID compliant and really fast and works very well. So in terms of the data flow, the client to storage architecture, you have end-to-end columnar data transfer. We want to eliminate serialization overhead. This is really important because you want to be able to ship lots of data to and from GizmoSQL to the client and back very quickly and efficiently. So we support a variety of clients and drivers. Of course, we talked about that a little bit earlier, but we have Python ADBC, JDBC driver, ODBC, Power BI, AI agents can use it, DBT and SQL Mesh for transformations. They all can talk to GizmoSQL just fine and take advantage of the authentication, protection, security, and the full capabilities of the DuckDB engine underneath. And of course, you can use cloud storage all day long, S3, GCS, Azure, R2, and you get the benefit of being able to use a Postgres catalog for your metadata management. So how fast is GizmoSQL? Really excited about the TPCH 1 terabyte benchmark results. So on this chart, you can see how GizmoSQL stacks up against various platforms. So ran these benchmarks and gave it the good old college try on all of them. And GizmoSQL actually performs very well compared to Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, Trino, Data Fusion, and others, which aren't on here. But Snowflake actually was a little bit faster in my testing. I ran on a 4XL cluster. And if you're familiar with the Snowflake warehouse sizes and how many credits they use and so forth, you'll know that Snowflake Enterprise Edition, for example, was $3 a credit. And I believe it's 128 credits for a 4XL. So you're talking $384 to be able to run a 4XL for 1 hour. So a very capable platform, can handle lots and lots of data, but very expensive to run, right? So GizmoSQL, on the other hand, you can run it on one node. And on this benchmark, we ran on an Azure ARM instance with 64 CPUs and 512 gigabytes of memory. And it was able to run the full benchmark suite in 111 seconds. And it only cost 17 cents. So the key figure is not just the performance, but its actual cost. You compare that to Snowflake, it was $2.76 to run the benchmark. Databricks was $5.25, and it was actually a little bit slower than Gizmo. And BigQuery was quite a bit more expensive because they don't bill on compute, they bill on the amount of data flowing through the system. The TPCH workload is a lot of data, a lot of aggregations and joins. So it uses more than a typical BigQuery workload. So it costs quite a bit more than Gizmo. And you have some open source products like Trino and Data Fusion, which of course are free. There's no license fee, but they were not nearly as fast on the same hardware, like for like, as GizmoSQL. AI, of course, has taken over the world. So
one second, Phil.
Yeah.
It seems your voice, at least for me, was metallized. I'm not sure if everyone could hear well. Can you please, guys, say in the chat if you can listen, feel well? We can swap the microphones, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, it's just for me. Yes, please go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, thanks. All right, so that was the benchmarking thing. So as you know, AI is sweeping the world, and so it's important that your database engine is friendly to AI. So GizmoSQL, because it uses DuckDB, has a very friendly SQL dialect. Things like group by all, merge, and merge by name, and things like that are fully supported. And because of the ease of use from Python using ADBC, it's very easy for agents to be able to authenticate and ask questions of your data, discover your data, and do all kinds of cool things, right? So we really want it to be very easy for AI agents to use. So it's very easy to write skills, and of course the full docs are online, documentation. So at docs.gizmosql.com, the AI agents can scan that and basically build skills that they need to be able to work with GizmoSQL and do AI type things. And the one cool thing that I really like about it is that the secrets stay server side. So with traditional Duck Lake, one thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that you have to kind of share two sets of credentials. You have the Postgres catalog for your metadata, and you have the S3 or cloud storage for your actual data that gets stored. And if I just have you run DuckDB on your laptop and to talk to your Duck Lake, I've got to share those two sets of keys with you. With GizmoSQL, you push that concern to the server side. And so as long as the user can authenticate to GizmoSQL, they don't have to know the keys to the Postgres catalog or to the S3. So you basically eliminate that security concern of having all these people have your your keys all over the place. And so you push that to server side. And that's much better from a security posture than sharing all those keys with everyone across the organization. But of course, AI agents, you want to have the same security posture in place. You don't want to have the AI agents have knowledge of your storage keys either. So it's an important thing that you can do with GizmoSQL that you can't necessarily easily do with DuckDB. So like I mentioned earlier, Duck Lake works great with GizmoSQL, and Duck Lake is catching on. And I saw something from Rusty Conover today, like he's doing some really cool stuff with Duck Lake also. He's running Duck Lake with WASM, for example. And but Duck Lake is amazing technology. I really think it's going to take over as a standard for Lakehouse. And it works perfectly well with GizmoSQL. And in fact, it works, I would argue, a little bit better because that security concern I just mentioned. And we've talked a little bit already about how it works, but basically it's fully compatible with all of the tools that connect to GizmoSQL. And it gives you that open data format. There's no vendor lock-in. Like if you decide tomorrow, well, GizmoSQL is not my engine anymore, I just need another DuckDB engine to work with my Duck Lake, you can easily do that. And it separates your compute and your storage completely, right? Your data is outside of your compute, which is ideal. And you can scale your storage independently of your compute, and you basically have your metadata in a very enterprise Postgres instance that's going to be able to protect it and make sure that it's consistent and so forth. So in terms of how to deploy GizmoSQL, you can run it pretty much with a lot of stuff, right? So you can run it with Docker or Podman. Podman is like an open source version of Docker. You can easily run a Docker image just like this. If you have a Mac or Linux machine, you can install it with Homebrew. So you just tap the Gizmo data tap, and then you install GizmoSQL with the brew install command. You can install it with Windows. So it has an MSI installer. And we actually, in our GitHub repository, in our continuous integration, CI/CD pipelines, we actually build the executable and sign it with a code sign cert. It's fully signed and 100% legitimate. And when you install it, it's going to be signed by a software vendor and so forth. So you don't get any security warnings or anything like that on Windows or even Mac OS or iOS. We fully sign the binaries. We even have a Kubernetes operator that lets you basically declaratively with custom resource definition, CRD, roll out a GizmoSQL server in Kubernetes. We build for Linux x86 and ARM64, and we build for Windows x86, and Mac we build for ARM. So Apple Silicon is fully supported, and just like the Windows executable, we fully sign that executable.
Bill, please, before the next slide, we have a distinguished member of the Power BI community here, Mr. Gregory Baldini. There's two questions. Can we take both now?
Sure.
Yeah, so the first one is, you mentioned columnar transport as a benefit several times. What workloads do you see this a significant benefit? It's the first question. And as an analytics reporting backend, we would like to have a typical expect to see as small result sets.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it really benefits ingestion big time. So there's a bulk ingest endpoint in Flight SQL servers that we fleshed out a few months ago, and Gizmo Data actually contributed the bulk ingest capability to the ADBC driver, which I was really excited about because I wanted to be able to ship large amounts of data from my laptop up to a Gizmo SQL server. So it really helps on ingestion big time because you're shipping, like in this case, it was millions of rows up to a Gizmo SQL server. But it's also the scenario, like it wouldn't necessarily be on a BI tool, but if for whatever reason you wanted to select out a large amount of data to the client, millions of rows, that's where that columnar transport would help a lot. But if you said, like if it's just 1,000 rows or 100 rows, the time difference probably would be so insignificant that you wouldn't see much benefit there. but every little bit helps. So in essence, it would help with network bandwidth a little bit because you're going to be shipping smaller frames of data to the client. So you would potentially use less network traffic, but it's not going to be significant savings on small result sets. That's right.
Yeah, and also less AO in case of JSON as well, less serialization and deserialization, and of course zero copying. Yeah, but in a small chunk, yeah, maybe it's not sense, but it's common nowadays. We have million rows, right? So the second question is also for you. As is you mentioned core as a free forever. Is that a free in FOSS, free open source software, or as in no charge? If FOSS, what is the license and what mechanisms enforce the forever part? Many corporate launched and back FOSS projects have experienced rug pulls. Yeah, maybe the storage project is a good example. I forgot the name right now.
Yeah,
the S3, yeah.
It's a really good question. It's important to me to keep my word, but like I really believe freely I've been given, freely I want to give, if that makes sense. So yeah, DuckDB is really, I think it's a gift to the world, right? It's a great technology. It's licensed with MIT. And so GizmoSQL isn't MIT. We chose Apache 2.0, but basically because we're using the Apache Arrow Flight SQL component as well, which is also open source. So I wanted to always offer a free version to make it easy to use and just encourage the open source community to hopefully embrace it and use it. It is important also, obviously you got to make money too, right? So we do have the enterprise edition for those things like businesses that they want those extra goodies for security and things like that. And that's just, I mean, to be blunt, like it helps with revenue and keep the project alive, right? And we don't have too many customers of that yet. Hopefully we'll build more, but it is important to me not to have any governors on GizmoSQL in terms of performance. We don't want to artificially limit the number of cores you can use and so forth because DuckDB doesn't do that. So it's very important that it stays free forever on the core components, if that makes sense.
Great, yes. So we are about to tick the clock. So we're almost 15 minutes. Please go forward on the presentation, Phil, and then I can handle to Power BI.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So in terms of customers, we have two customers that are using GizmoSQL in production that have let us share their names. And so Summation is one. They're an AI company, AI platform for enterprise leaders in finance. They're using GizmoSQL and Duck Lake in production. They love the enterprise features, token auth, logging, timeouts. It just lets them run their big workload. And so they're pushing terabytes through GizmoSQL all the time. So, they have billions of rows of data. Their AI agents are actively querying and that data and so forth. And so it's really taught me a lot because, when you create this software and you don't run it in production initially, and then you have customers that do, you learn a lot about what they need and what features they need and what issues they run into and so forth. So they went live in December of 25. And it's been working really great for them. Before they went live, we did a proof of concept. We had some snags, but they were patient with us, and we fixed some bugs that were related to performance concurrency. And it's been working really great since that fall of 25. Not to say we won't have more issues, but really encouraged by the performance. And just today, actually, I looked on ClickBench, and GizmoSQL is in the top 10 on cold runs or hot runs, rather. And on combined runs, you'll see in the top 10, or GizmoSQL's in there a couple times, actually. So really excited about the performance concurrency optimizations we've made. Randoli is using GizmoSQL in their stack. They like the performance, flexibility, and the reliability of it. So it's a pretty reliable platform. And I'm really excited about it. So simple, transparent pricing. It isn't right now. It's not a cloud hosted platform. That hopefully is coming soon. So you can run Gizmo SQL in your data center, on premises, in your cloud, self-host basically. You can run the core free forever, Apache 2.0 license. You get the full engine, Aeroflight SQL, all the goodies that Aeroflight SQL and DuckDB give you. The Enterprise Edition, $500 per server per month. Everything in core plus single sign-on, session instrumentation, and so forth. And then Gustavo had some announcements on Brazilian stuff. Did you want to talk about that, Gustavo?
Yes, we are studying power purchase compensation to the Brazilian market, but right now we can start to collecting payments in Brazilian reais as well. And also we are giving 25% of discount for the Brazilian market as well, and to everybody in this live session. And yeah, so probably in a few months we can launch the platform to be invoiceable in any currency. Please, that's it.
All right, cool. All right, so ready to get started. Of course, you can go to the GitHub repository, contact sales, or try it now. I will talk briefly about the website real fast. So you can go to the gizmodata.com website, or Fabricent has a link to it as well. But if you explore the products and go to GizmoSQL, there is a Get GizmoSQL button right here. Of course, it's on the homepage too for GizmoSQL. But if you do the Get button, there's a handy links for installing it on the major platforms like Mac OS or Linux or Windows, and even iOS is the link to the App Store, right? So it's really handy to install it that way. And real fast, I kind of wanted to show you a quick demo, Gustavo, if it's okay, of performance. Could I do that real fast?
Sure.
Okay, so I have here I need to run GizmoSQL UI. So
yes,
this is
very good point. Yes, yeah. You just type GizmoSQL UI and then you have the server, right? So no installation, no complicated configuration. It's on the fly.
Yeah. So I've started the GizmoSQL UI and I'm connected to an instance I have running in Azure right now. So on there, I've got a terabyte data set loaded. So if I add a cell here, if I bear with me here. So if I select count star from line item, you can see there's about 6 billion records in there. And the count star is not that impressive because it can cheat and use header metadata. But if I paste query 1 from the TPCH dataset or query suite, this is going to query the line item table, do some filtering and group by. And so we should get an idea of how well it processes that 6 billion rows. So I'm running that query now, and you can see it took a little over 3 seconds to query, aggregate all that data, go through the 6 billion rows and aggregate it. And if you want to take off the where clause, I mean, that's something we can do, which is rerun it. And you can see that it processes the entire 6 billion row, aggregates all of it in 2.2 seconds. So that's an incredible amount of data that it processes very fast. And that's thanks to the DuckDB engine, but also Aeroflight SQL. And we just get that incredible performance. And I have a couple of other queries here. So query 2, if I run query 2.
Just to promise that we made an announcement for Power BI. I will hijack the sharing, so I will share my screen right now.
Yep.
And yeah, no worries. Just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And also we have ODBC connection. So here is our loved software, Power BI. And we have a Gizmo here, Gizmo SQL, yeah. So we are working on the 2.0 connector right now, but right now we are using this Gizmo ADBC. For connecting, I will use our demo server is the same one that Phil just showed to you guys. So I will use direct query to load the data. Just a second. Let me copy the credentials here. And I will not pull TPCH SF100 because it will take a while to load. Unfortunately, the broadband in Brazil is not so fast. So the protocol is fast, but We are not so fast. Um, yes, but I can easily navigate through the catalog and also load like maybe, yeah, orders, I think 150 million, but I can easily navigate and load it. So as you notice, I'm using directly query. The data panel will be hidden. Um, so it's a couple seconds to load. Yes. We find a bug this morning that is regarding the directly query mode on the Power Query syntax. So to be 100% transparent, I'm gonna change for dual storage mode. Let me just remove this, that we don't have um, a template yet. Okay. So if there's any question, guys, please feel free to put in the Q&A also. So let me remove this, guys, here. And we're gonna just connect, for example, customer key to customer key. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, scanning the relationship, and boom, yeah. So this table here, it's 150 million. This one I can't remember, I think 25 or 35 million rows. And when I save it, when I hit save it, it's just validating the relationship. It's all right. Oh, it didn't do it. Okay, I can change here for out. It's done. Okay. So the bug we found today is regarding the aggregation. If we go, for example, can be customer key. Yeah, it's a couple seconds to load. And we can go to amount. Where is the amount thing? Sorry, I changed my glasses. Order key. What's the amount? I can't. Oh, total price. Yeah.
Total price, yeah. Total price.
Yeah, yeah. We'll broke, but if we change to dual mode, we'll fix. Yeah, we'll take a while. So it's 150 million rows. Unfortunately, pass in some tests, but not right now. But yes, we can ship this until next week. I think that's it, Phil.
Yeah,
The correction, I think so. Yeah. So I work hard on this on the weekend, and yeah. So as you can see, the loading, even the server is in US. The amount of rows during the importation, in this case, is scanning the rows, not importing everything, because we are using a dual mode, right? So it's way faster than ODBC. Yeah, but because ODBC is row by row. And another thing that I want to shout out also, because we are using a real server, we don't need to pay egress fees. We don't need to pay extra usage. Yeah, it's just increase the size of the machine and you have the same experience. Yeah, so basically the big message of this webinar is like this. We are about to finish. I will save more couple minutes to more questions, and feel free to share your questions if you want to, or also you can send the questions afterwards. And in a few hours, or maybe tomorrow, you're going to receive the recording of this webinar, and you are more than welcome to point any questions as well. And we have a special gift for the audience. Can I say it? Can I say it, Phil?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, okay. So we launched Gizmo SQL for iPhone, right? So we will randomly pick a name here. Yeah, tell me a letter, Phil, to say, and then we can pick one here.
A letter.
Yeah,
T.
maybe Key.
T is in
Key is a
Tom.
kilo.
T is in Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, T is a Tom. Okay, let me see. Yeah, we have Tobias. Tobias, you are the one. You just won new Gizmo SQL to your iPhone. So we're gonna send the voucher. It's a voucher, right, Phil?
Yeah, it's a promo code you can use on the App Store to get it for free.
Yeah,
It's,
great,
it's
great.
normally
Tobias.
99 cents. So
Yeah, okay, okay. So Fernando wants to. Okay, I'll give you one to you, Fernando. It's a good friend as well. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Uh, since there's no more questions, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to wait for loading. As I said, the broadband here in Brazil is not so fast. But yes, we're gonna record some videos about some short clips with all the things. And yeah, okay, we are seeing my good friend Bali here, friend from Fabcon Europe. Great, great. Yeah, so basically it's this, and we are just starting. We plan to do more webinars, and any questions that you have, any project, feel free to reach out. Don't you have 15 more minutes? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think we schedule 60 minutes. Yeah, let me see the chat. There's any specific questions if you want, Deepayam. Sorry if I am bad pronouncing your name. But you can reach you can reach us on the chat, or you can send in a Q&A afterwards, or send a direct message. Since he's typing, I will wait more 2 or 3 minutes. That's okay, Phil?
sure thing. Yeah, glad to help.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's writing. I'm not sure. He's offline right now. I think, yeah, he gone. Okay, that's it. So thank you so much, Phil, to give me this excellent opportunity to have you on board on my channel, and also to have more knowledge about it. And yeah, so everybody is cheering us, and fantastic.
Thank
Yes,
you. It was very kind.
very kind. Yes, thank you. That's it, guys. See you soon. Thank you. Have a lovely afternoon for everybody, some night for the other people around the globe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Hey,
No, second.
sure.